All right, you're welcome back to the Bakery Studios. My name is Ade Kingston, but you could call me Cake. This is Baked with Cake, and in this very episode from the series, the beginner series, the absolute beginner series, this very episode that we're going to be talking about. Viewport navigation, how to navigate your viewport. And basically it's going to be a very short tutorial, but it's just going to advise you on how you should be able to move around your viewport and then actually be able to move between different views as well. Alright, so from the last tutorial we said this is the viewport right here. All this space you see here is the viewport, and the viewport is basically, from the name viewport, is like where you see all the things you are working on at the moment. So for instance, let's say I have a sphere in the scene. Let me scale it up by hitting the hotkey R and then dragging the middle box here. We'll still talk about all that in another video, but this video is made for the to understand the viewport basically. Okay, so let's say this is the sphere. Now I have this sphere. Now whatever we want to model turn the sphere into, we can always use the viewport. Now most 3D softwares have multiple viewports. So for instance, you can divide this viewport into 4 by hitting the space bar. That's the longest key on your keyboard. You can divide it into 4 different viewports, and in Maya they have it already labeled. So this is the perspective view, this is the top view, you can see down the top, this is the front view, and this is the side view. So let's say for instance we're working on a model. Let me extend, let me go into vertex mode and drag, select. Let's say we're working on model, something like this, just for reference sake. I'll go back to object mode. If I will go back to this now, you can see this is what it looks like from the top view, this is what it looks like from the front view, and this is what it looks like from the side view. And you can work in the 4 viewports if you want. So for instance, you can decide that you want to work in the 4 viewports, you can. So you see, as I move it here, it moves in all the viewports. Well, I mostly advise to work in one, unless if there's something specific you want to do in other viewports. So for instance, maybe I'm building a table. We'll get to modeling very, very soon, but let's say for instance I'm trying to build a table or something. So let's say I get the tabletop here, I get a cube for the tabletop. I press R and I scale it up. I use this box here to scale it down, and I use W for the move to move it up. So for instance, let's just use this as an example. Then for the legs, let's say I get another box, another square. I bring it to one side. This is just going to be rough. Now to be able to gauge this properly, you can see from the top view, it's easier to gauge it from the top view. So let me scale it up to a little. Press R. I can come here and scale it up a little. Come back here, make it tall, or I could come down here and do that as well, or here as well. Then I press W and then move it to the position that I want it to be. You see, but now here, this place now, it's looking like it's in the correct direction, location, but it's not. I can come to here and move it till I get what I want, or I can come to the top here and move it till I get what I want. And same when I press Ctrl D, I can duplicate it. Now I have a different one. I can place that one here. I can select both of them by holding Shift and then select the second one. Then Ctrl D again. Then I move it down the other way to the other side. So now we have a table. So basically we have 4 views. That's the point behind this particular side of the tutorial, is that okay, we can navigate from 4 different views. You can see by hitting the space bar. All right, so let's backtrack a little bit. I think I was moving too fast. I was moving ahead of myself. Viewport navigation. Maya is alt-centric when it comes to viewport navigation. That's navigating around the view. So basically what you need to know is this: when you hold Alt down, Alt on your keyboard, and you left click and drag, you start to spin around. You can see. Once you hold Alt down, you right click and drag, you start to zoom. And when you hold Alt down and your middle mouse button click and drag, you start to move. So once again, I'll say it: Alt, left click and drag, rotate. You can rotate anyhow you want it. Alt, left click and drag, or Alt, right click and drag, you zoom. Alt, middle click and drag, you move. You pan, like the move tool in Photoshop, if you are used to Photoshop. So let's say you are working on something. Now the reason why that is very important, you don't need to always be going to the 4 views unless you need some precision. You can be in this view, the perspective view, and still navigate and adjust things where, like say for instance, I want to make this kind of weird table where these legs are somewhat in the middle. It's easy for me to just move this way, then Alt, click and drag, turn it to a different place, move, click this guy, move it to where I want it to be, click this guy, move it to where I want it to be, or click and drag. Maybe it's the table now I want to move, I can take it, move, take it, move. Alt click and drag, Alt click and drag. And then if it's too close, I want to see how it looks like from a little bit far away, I just Alt right click and drag. And then maybe it's to one corner, and then, or maybe there are several objects and I want to actually just move them so I can see one particular part. I can just Alt middle click and drag. Also, like if you want to zoom, if you roll your scroll wheel for the mouse, you can zoom. Like just roll the scroll wheel, you can zoom. Anyway, for this tutorial, these are the things I want to talk about. So the main take home from this tutorial is the fact that when you hold Alt, you can rotate, Alt click and Alt left click and drag, Alt right click to zoom, Alt middle click to move. But if you just roll the scroll wheel, it will zoom as well. That's for that. Then also when you hit the space bar, you can go into 4 views. If you go over any of these views and hit space bar, it makes that full screen. Hit space bar again, hit space bar again, hit space bar, and you get how it works. That's that for this tutorial. Alright, so I'll see you in the next tutorial where we'll start modeling different objects so that you can get the hang of how object modeling and polygon modeling works, and ideas on how you want to create your models for your own use. Alright, once again, it's your boy Ade Kingston. You can call me Cake. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe, rate, like, comment, share. Have a wonderful day.